Hi everyone, welcome back to another late night project review. Today I'll try to be more straightforward, I guess, let fewer NGs, and I'll try to do this in one take. Hey, because it's going to be very exciting. In fact, the preview has already started for these two projects, and it will run for the next 2 weeks. And even though these two projects are in very close proximity, yet at the same time they appeal to two very different groups of buyers. So yes, these projects are River Green versus Promenade Peak. I will be touching on some of the key differences as well as similarities, and which project will I actually buy into. For those who have been following our channel for some time, the last video, a lot of you actually said that the information, the research was actually very helpful, and ultimately the project did very well. Lindenwood did 95% sold on launch day, and this was actually my top pick for 2025 based on the floor plans, based on the site plan, as well as the developer's pricing strategy. So if you are on the lookout for a property, for good value buys as well as fire sale projects, do follow us on YouTube, on TikTok, as well as Instagram, where we'll be constantly sharing all our take, all our analysis, as well as the latest price promo for upcoming projects. So without much further ado, let's jump right in. To make it easy for all my viewers, I've actually broken down this video into 3 different segments. So number 1, it will be the project comparison between River Green as well as Promenade Peak, including the location, the developer's track record, the facilities layout, and all that. The second will be the price point between these two projects, and of course, more importantly, will be why this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to enter into the core central region. Project overview. River Green has a total of 524 units, whereas for Promenade Peak we have a total of 596 units. So both around the healthy range of about 500. They're also very similar in the sense that they are one tower. Okay, and TOP date we are looking at June 2030 for River Green and February 2031 for Promenade Peak. So not too far off. However, for car park provision, River Green we are only doing 50%, but Promenade Peak we are doing 80%. I do not potentially see this as an issue because for River Green, we are actually made up of a lot of the smaller unit types, and we are also within close proximity to the MRT station. Moving on to the developers, Wing Thai is the developer for River Green, and All Green is the developer for Promenade Peak. So both developers are actually Band 1, and these are some of the projects that they have previously done. Why I decided to highlight the architect as well is to show you the portfolio, or rather the projects that have been done by these two architects. So for River Green, we are using P&T Group. They are the architects for Park Nova as well as Noville 18, which are two very iconic projects in the core central region. For Promenade Peak, we are using DCA Architects, and they are the architects for your entire Keppel Bay area. So Reflections at Keppel Bay, you have your Reef at Kingsdoor, Corals at Keppel Bay as well. They are also the architects for Marina Bay Residences. Okay, moving on to location, River Green is actually located within District 9, which is under the core central region. For Promenade Peak, it's actually under District 3, which is the rest of core central region. So anything that's after the Singapore River will be under the rest of core central region. Okay, so this is very crucial because some buyers who are not too aware of this, they are saying that, hey Dexter, Promenade Peak seems to have a bit more attractive pricing because they start from 2006, whereas River Green starts from 2007. But do bear in mind that River Green is actually a core central property, whereas Promenade Peak is actually the rest of core. So this actually relates back to, or rather relates to my third point, which I'll be touching on later, as to the narrowing price gap between the rest of core central as well as the core central region. Moving on to our facilities, River Green offers you full condo facilities inclusive of a tennis court. Hey, this is actually very rare because in the core central region, most of the new launches do not have the space to actually cater a tennis court. If you want a tennis court, usually we have to go to the slightly older projects such as Valley Park. However, for Promenade Peak, we also have very interesting facilities such as the Infinity Pool on level 63, which will be very similar to what you see over at Marina Bay Sands. We also have the gymnasium as well as the outdoor CrossFit area on level 43, where you can work out and actually enjoy the scenic view. So this will be very similar to Marina Bay Residences as well. Moving on to the layouts, River Green floor plans are slightly more compact, but they offer buyers a lot more flexibility. So you can actually choose to remove some of the walls because we are non-prefab. So for example, you can actually combine bedroom 3 to the living area or to the master bedroom. Whereas for Promenade Peak, it actually offers you slightly more decent bedroom sizes at 9 square meters, but you don't really get the flexibility in terms of being able to combine the bedrooms. As for price comparison, so this is where it gets interesting, because for a 4-bedroom at River Green, I can only get a 3-bedroom 1033 square feet at Promenade Peak, and this is not even the 3-bedroom premium. Looking at the PSF, Okay, we start from 2006 PSF for River Green, okay, and 2006 as well for Promenade Peak. But for Promenade Peak, it will be slightly different because we are broken into the Promenade Collection, which are the units below level 42, as well as Promenade Suites, which are the units from 44 all the way to level 62. This means that for units below level 42, you have a total of 12 units per floor. For units above level 44, you only have 6 units per floor, inclusive of every unit getting a private lift, which means it's going to be less crowded. If you're looking to buy into these two projects, it will also be very important, very crucial for you to know what are your upcoming competition. So for the cheaper land bid prices, you will see will be in the RCR region for the 2 Zion parcels. Promenade Peak is actually parcel B. Okay, some buyers who are very sharp will say, hey Dexter, I want to bid for parcel A, which was bidded slightly cheaper, about 100 PSF per plot ratio. Hey, but do note that for parcel A, CDL has a requirement of the long-term service apartment 2. So SA2 is actually different from SA1. So what is the difference if you actually take a look on URA's guideline? Okay, in general for service apartments, the minimum stay is actually 7 days. So over here 7 days. But for SA2, the minimum duration is actually 3 months. So this means that if you are buying into parcel A for investment, you are potentially going to be competing with the developer for potential tenants. So do take note about that. If you would like to find out how this new SA2 will potentially affect you as an investor, do reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to have a consultation and share with you our analysis. So moving on to our third but most important point, this is actually a very rare opportunity for buyers who have always been waiting and wanting to enter into the core central region. So if you actually take a look at the interest rate, there is a very strong correlation. When interest rates are at an all-time low, you notice that the private property index increases by over 86%. Whereas where interest rates are at the peak, you notice that the private property price index tend to grow a little bit slower, sometimes even stagnant. Okay, right now where are we? We are already seeing very aggressive interest rate cuts as seen on this graph. Previously we were doing as high as 4.85. The latest rate today, banks can even give you 1.98%. And what is the greatest indicator of these interest rate cuts would be your T-bills as well as fixed deposits. So just 2 weeks ago, the T-bill cut-off view actually dropped from 2% to 1.85%, and just 1 day ago it dropped to a further 1.79%. So this is a very strong indication that the interest rates are coming down, and the rolling on effect is that you will see that the prices continue to go up. Okay, so don't miss this wave. Don't enter only when you see the upward trend in the property price index. So we are already seeing the market sentiment. Last weekend when we had the launch of Linden Woods, which was my top project for 2025, which I mentioned in my previous video, even though we didn't expect it to sell out at 94%, okay, we noticed that the buyers are able to accept 4 bedrooms that are 1,006 square feet starting from about 3.58 million. Okay, just today, Robertson and Upper House actually had the placement sale. The 3-bedroom premium were almost fully sold out at Opus as well as at Upper House. Okay, this is a very strong sign that buyers are actually beginning to actually come back into the market because they see this rare opportunity to enter into the core central region. Okay, so this is the price gap that I have been talking about all video long. If you notice, if you take a look on this side, the core central region, they are doing about 2.9 to 3,001 PSF. Rest of core central, they are doing about high 2.6 to 2.7. Okay, right now, River Green, you are starting at an RCR price, which is very rare. So have we seen this before? Yes. The last time we've seen such a narrowing price gap was actually in 2009. So let me just share with you this graph. So this narrowing price gap is not something that we have never come across before. In the year 2000, okay, the price gap between the RCR as well as the CCR region was only at 4%. And what happened immediately after that in the next 1 year, you saw that the CCR growth was at 34%, while the RCR growth was at a negative 15%. Similarly, in the year 2009, notice that the price gap between the RCR as well as the CCR was at 16%, and in the next 1 year that followed, the core central properties actually appreciated by a staggering 80%. So today, this is a golden opportunity, be it for buyers who are looking for own stay, but especially for buyers who are looking for investment, because we are seeing a similar trend that's happening all over again. Okay, so if you notice over here, in general, the price gap between the rest of core central region and the core central region is on average about 20%. Of course, we see as high as 26%, 31%, sometimes even up to 40%. But now the price gap is only at a single digit. So we talk about price gap in terms of PSF. I'm now moving on to price gap in terms of price quantum. So if we take a look at the resale properties, District 9, Orwell Hill, the 2-bedroom 667 square feet has already transacted at 2.23 million. Today at River Green, 2-bed, 2-bath, you are only entering at 1.7 million. That is a price gap of 500,000. Now, before you come and say that the sizes are different, let's actually take a look. Over at Well Hill, the common bedroom is 9 square meters, similar to what we get at River Green. The master bedroom at River Green, yes, is smaller at 10 square meters as compared to 11. However, the living room, 24 square meters as compared to only 20 square meters. So why is this so? It's because River Green is under the new GFA harmonization. So the new GFA harmonization is actually a saver for a lot of people who are actually waiting or have been wanting to enter the core central region. But the older projects, which actually takes into account the aircon ledgers, the sizes are actually a lot larger, which translates to a higher entry price, a higher barriers to entry. Similarly, for the 3-bedroom over at Well Hill, 861 square feet. River Green, we are doing 872 square feet. Price-wise, 2.5. Well Hill, 2.6. If we take a look at the sizes, actually they are similar. 8 square meters for Well Hill, same as River Green. 9 square meters, 9 square meters. 12 square meters for master bed, 12 square meters for master bed, even at River Green as well. So you are paying essentially for only your usable space, no longer paying for aircon ledgers. And lastly, for the 4 bedrooms, Martin Modern 1012 square feet, 4 bedroom 980 square feet. If I were to plus the aircon ledge, which is about 50 square feet, it will actually be the same as well as what you're getting at Martin Modern. Accepted prices for the 4 bedroom at Martin Modern is 2.95. Today at River Green, you're only entering at $2.8 million. This is the safe entry price gap that you're potentially entering into. So to sum up, which project will I buy? Of course, my opinion is based on, in future, if I were to rent it out or if I were to sell it for you, which project would actually be easier. In my opinion, I would strongly lean towards River Green because the entry prices are actually very, very palatable. And we are targeting not just investors, but also potentially HDB upgraders who have always been wanting to enter into the core central region, but always found the prices to be too high. Whereas for Promenade Peak, I would think that it will appeal to buyers who actually appreciate a bit more luxurious finishing, a bit more spacious bedrooms, and of course having the Sky Infinity Pool that's akin to your MBS Infinity Pool. So we have come to the end of our video. We have tried to keep it very short, sweet and concise, but if you have more questions or if you want a more in-depth analysis, do not hesitate to reach out to us. The preview is happening all the way to the 29th of July. If you haven't scheduled a show flat visit, do reach out to us. We'll do an on-site presentation as well as our analysis. If you have already seen the show flat but you are on the fence as to whether you should actually take part in the balloting, do also reach out to us. We'll actually give you our top picks in terms of the unit selection. So once again, if you found this video to be helpful, do help us to like, share and subscribe so we can actually reach out to like-minded investors or home buyers like yourself. This is Dexter, your Gen Z Realtor, and I look forward to seeing all of you soon.